Hey warriors, I'm Merowing, your guide for Diablo Immortal. If you are looking for in-game updates, news, tutorial, and footage, you are in the right place. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. Ready to become legend? Let's dive in. Welcome back to Merowing. In today's video, we're unleashing the full power of Whirlwind in PvE and showing you exactly how to make it unstoppable. I'll walk you through everything you need to master this build, from the skills that fuel the spin to the gear that keeps it going. For a long time, Whirlwind was more myth than method, nerfed, retired, left behind. But now, the wind howls again. Whirlwind fell out of favor in Diablo Immortal's evolving meta. It lacked power, lacked synergy, and frankly, lacked a purpose. But two new legendary items changed everything. Reel of Kattas allows Whirlwind to apply bleeding to enemies it hits. This essence is a game changer. It turns your spin into a bleed engine, stacking damage over time and softening up entire packs. Blood Sizer enhances bleeding damage against enemies affected by multiple bleed effects. Now we're talking synergy. When enemies suffer from 2, 3, even 4 bleeding sources, Blood Sizer kicks your damage into overdrive. Splattered Wind. Hitting an enemy is damaging and restores 10 energy every second, and increases your attack speed up to 30% for every bleeding enemy. When Whirlwind strikes the same enemy 3 times, it's dealing additional bleed effect for 2.5 seconds. Whirlwind damage increased by 90%. Whirlwind damage increased up to 57% for all bleed effects on the enemy. In total, Whirlwind damage is increased by up to 205% and regenerates energy by hitting bleeding enemies. Our approach: stack 3 bleed effects on each enemy to secure the maximum DPS output all the time. So how can we apply 3 different bleed effects? First bleeding is coming from the shoulder. Second bleeding is coming from cleave, which grants the power of the ancients, and cleave through the enemies, dealing damage and applying a bleeding effect for 3 seconds. Third bleed effect is coming from the new legendary gem, Blood Flow, causing enemies to bleed for 3 seconds. Additionally, increase your critical hit chance and damage done to the enemy for each bleeding enemy next to you. Wrath of the Berserker throws you into a blood rage for 5 seconds, increasing your damage by 50% and granting up to 40% movement speed. Wrath of Berserker also increases your attack speed by 19% and enrages you for each bleeding enemy, increasing the U damage up to 28.5%. Finally, I am using Trampling Ancient to periodically stomp the ground around you for 5 seconds, which is keeping the DPS sustainable if you run out of energy. Additionally, Ground Stomp knocks back the enemies and applies a CC effect on them. Bleeding is no longer just a status effect, it's your engine. The more enemies bleed, the harder you hit and the faster you spin. It turns Whirlwind into a self-sustaining DPS machine. This is what happens when mechanics meet madness. If you've ever wanted to feel like a human blender, Splattered Wind is your build. Let's jump right into the Barbarian's top-tier essences, the gear that turns your Whirlwind build from flashy to ferocious. Solemn Crown. Wrath of Berserker increase your attack speed by 19%. Manifold Gore. Whirlwind damage increased by 19% for each bleed on the enemy, up to a maximum of 57%. Ox's Horns. When Whirlwind strikes the same enemy 3 times, it causes a bleed that can stack up to 3 times, dealing damage per second over 2.5 seconds and increased damage of Whirlwind by 90%. Dauntless Temper. Ground Stomp now calls on the power of an ancient to appear and periodically stomp the ground around you. Borrowed Might. Cleave now grants you the power of the ancients, periodically conjuring Spirit of the Ancient to cleave through nearby enemies. Falling Thunder. Wrath of the Berserker also enrages you when you are near a bleeding enemy, increasing the damage you deal by 28.5%. Reel of Kattas. Whirlwind now restores energy and increases your attack speed after hitting an enemy suffering from a bleed. Blood Caesar. Wrath of the Berserker now throws you into a bloody rage, increasing the damage you deal for bleeding enemies, while also granting you increased movement speed for each bleeding enemy nearby. Now that the essences have primed your Barbarian for bleed-fueled carnage, let's talk sets, because this build's secret sauce isn't just legendary gear. You're rocking 4 pieces of Vithus Urge, boosts buff duration and grants a sharp attack speed increase, ideal for maintaining Wrath of the Berserker and slicing through packs at warp speed. 4 pieces of Seeds of Sorrow. This is the hidden ace of your Whirlwind build. Seeds of Sorrow ramps up damage for all channeling skills, and Whirlwind is one of the biggest beneficiaries. With this set, your spin becomes an unstoppable shredder that melts enemies before they can blink. Together, these sets transform Whirlwind from a background skill into a main stage DPS engine. Buffs last longer, attacks hit faster, and channeling damage climbs into god tier levels. You're not just spinning, you're performing high-speed blood alchemy. To round out this beastly Whirlwind setup, I'm running the Slinger Paragon tree, and it brings serious finesse and damage to the table. Here's what powers the core of my build. Unseen Dynamism boosts your damage while moving, which is perfect for Whirlwind's constant rotation. Spin to win, literally. Gifted increases overall damage across the board, giving both bleed and channeling effects more bite. Fury cranks up your critical hit damage when your health is low, ideal for clutch moments during heavy pulls or boss fights. Uncanny rewards agile play with extra damage after dodging, great for staying mobile and punishing mobs that miss. Bloodthirst gives you life regeneration as you deal damage, keeping your barbarian in the fight without needing constant heals. This Paragon setup perfectly supports high mobility, bleed-heavy gameplay. You get speed, sustain, and scaling damage, all while you're swirling through enemies like a living storm. To tie the entire Whirlwind build together, I'm running the legendary skill Death's Release, and it fits like a blade to the throat. This skill triggers a devastating wave of damage when enemies are killed, effectively chaining your carnage from one mob to the next. In a bleed-heavy, spin-to-win setup like mine, this turns every Whirlwind kill into a ripple of destruction across the battlefield. Here's why it matters. It activates on kill, making it perfect for fast clear, AoE heavy farming. Synergizes beautifully with Manifold Gore and Blood Caesar, causing explosions and bonus damage off every bleeding corpse. Works best when enemies are stacked with bleeds, creating a lethal chain reaction as packs vanish in seconds. So if you're looking for a cherry on top legendary to close the loop on bleed, channeling, and sustain, Death's Release delivers the final cut. Now that the Whirlwind build is primed with legendary essences, optimized Paragon, and powerful set bonuses, it's time to take it for a spin across Diablo Immortal's toughest endgame challenges. Here's how you can dominate each one with style and precision.
I felt fear rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of leaves. I wander out where you can't see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of leaves. I wander out where you can't see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. Goodbye, I'm worthy of our time, the night is bright out this time. Everything is 3D plus for me. My ears are red and gold, the air is standing straight up. This is not the way I picture me. I can't control my shakes, how the hell did I get here? Something about this is very right. I have to live out loud, I wish I didn't like this. Is it a dream or remember right? I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of bliss. I wander out where you can see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. Get out of my ear, cause I don't need this. Why didn't I say this? But I'm a victim and you're reincarnate. I am sin by just making my mind up and taking your breath away. I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of bliss. I wander out where you can see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of bliss. I wander out where you can see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. Goodbye. You haven't learned a thing, I haven't changed a thing. The fun was in my bones, the pain went down with fine. You haven't learned a thing, I haven't changed a thing. The fun was in my bones, the pain went down with fine. I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of bliss. I wander out where you can't see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of bliss. I wander out where you can't see, inside my shell I wait and bleed.
Thank you for watching this video and your support. Leave your feedback and don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe my channel to stay up to date. Until next time, stay legendary, stay lethal, and above all, stay Merowing.